Our next speaker, will be introduced by Ria. So Ria.
It is my privilege to introduce to you Dr. Gloria Ledwaba from the College of Education at UNISA. Dr. Ledwaba is passionate about early childhood development and a strong advocate in promoting accessibility for persons with disabilities. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Gloria Ledwaba and thank you for sharing your knowledge and experience with us today. May now?
Yeah, you give her now. Here's a little something for you, Dr. Ledwaba. Just like thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ledwaba.
Thank you very much.
I know you.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, a very good morning. And thank you very much for providing me with an opportunity where we will be discussing another strategy to dismantle the stereotypes that people or the public has about our children with Down syndrome. I'm in the field of early childhood education and specialize in the issue of augmentative and alternative communication, which is something that I'm going to talk about today. Firstly, I would like us to look at that picture. We have 3 little girls. They are playing a game called Maskitlana. Do we have teachers with us? Yes, I want anyone to explain to us what Maskitlana is. So we have 2 learners, and that little one with a white hoodie is a girl with Down syndrome. She is in our village where I come from, Ramashashani, and every time when they play, I used to observe them. So there are 2 little girls that are facilitating this game, and she's silently sitting and listening. So I'd like any one of you to explain what Maskitlana is. Am I the only one who knows Maskitlana? No, yes. Who knows Maskitlana? And who can explain to the colleagues what Maskitlana is? Oh, that is Maskitlana. Okay, that was your Maskitlana. And anyone who understands Maskitlana, because that is a different Maskitlana. Ma'am, yes. Yes, ma'am. So you find that there are children. It's like storytelling. You tell a story about what's happening in the community, what's happening in the family, and other learners will be sitting around you listening. But not only listening, they must also participate. For example, if you say the grandmother came in and punched or did what, the other must say, oh. So they will be participating at the same time. Now, for this activity, as I was observing it, this little child was quiet. She was not participating every time. So every time when they play Maskitlana, there will be another one who is speaking typically, and this one will be quiet. And you will not be given any opportunity to participate in the activity. Now, so that is another way of having the stereotype belief that learners or maybe small children with Down syndrome cannot communicate, cannot facilitate that game. And if we think of Maskitlana, there are 5 developmental domains that are involved. So physical skills are involved, cognitive skills are involved, sensory skills are involved, socio-emotional skills are involved, and finally, communication skills are involved. This is where learners express themselves. This is where the child can tell stories, and others will respond using speech. But now, for the child with Down syndrome, their speech production is limited. That is one of the manifestations of Down syndrome. Their speech production is very limited. So if the speech production is limited, the belief is that they cannot communicate. They cannot participate. They cannot share ideas. They cannot protest. They cannot be members of the group. They cannot play. So that is what is there. But what we need to do today, because we are uniting voices, we are dismantling the stereotypes belief. One of those beliefs is that they cannot communicate. So they can communicate provided they are provided with support that they need. So my presentation today is informed by one of the principles of inclusive education that says we need to acknowledge and respond to the needs of our learners. So our learners with Down syndrome, they have limited speech production, meaning that they cannot communicate if not provided with support. And how do we respond to their communication needs? And it will also be informed by the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, in particular, Article number 9, that is the right to communicate. So I'm quickly going to jump into how to support learners with Down syndrome, in particular in those early years, so that they can be able to communicate, so that they can be able to participate in any activities, so that they can be able to play and be members of the group. So how do we support them? So we support them through the implementation of what we call augmentative and alternative communication. There are 3 terms that are involved here. So augmentative, alternative, and communication. So what is augmentative and alternative communication? So when we talk about augmentative and alternative communication, which is abbreviated, which we abbreviate AAC, is the use of less frequently means of communication to compensate for the lack of verbal expression to facilitate participation for persons with significant communication difficulties. Right. When we communicate, the most common means of communication, colleagues, is speech, not so. But because children at that age, their speech production is limited, we need to provide them with other means to communicate. These are not the means that we use every day. They are less frequently means of communication, so that they can be able to participate in such activities or in any activity they are expected to participate. So this is what we use. So for example, our teachers, are you teaching in the foundation phase? Foundation phase. Okay, all of you. Now, you have learners that is during maybe cycle time, and then you are singing, maybe you teach them about Ledwaba. You remember that song? Rebanana babanyane rirutiwa kosikolo. Do you remember it? Yes, let's do it again. Okay, remind me, I forgot it. Yes. 1, 2, 3. Rebanana babanyane rirutiwa kosikolo. Re banana ba banyenyane, re rutiwa ko sekolong. Now, you have a little girl. You have a little girl in your classroom. Others are saying, "Re banana ba banyenyane," and they are dancing. And that one speech production is very limited. So what do we do in order to support that child to be able to participate in this activity? There's nothing we can do about forcing that speech to be produced. So what do? We provide that little girl with other means of communication so that he can participate in that activity. So how do we do that? So when we talk about AAC, there are different systems. There are two main classifications of AAC systems. The first one is the unaided, which is what I'm not going to emphasize most, and the last one is aided. Okay. Now, if we say re banana ba banyenyane, re banana ba banyenyane, we are small children. So for this child to communicate, so you can give him something to participate with. For example, you can use this. My mic is... Yes. So there are different systems that you can use in a class to ensure that a child with Down syndrome participate in class activities. So let's consider re banana ba banyenyane re rutiwa ko sekolong. Okay, you can use unaided, but I want us to focus on this device. So this device, we call it a Big Mac. It can only record one message or two messages so that the child with Down syndrome can participate in the activity. So let's start re banana ba banyenyane again. 1, 2, 3. Re banana ba banyenyane, re rutiwa ko sekolong. Let's finish it. What do we have teachers? Okay, let's do it for the last time. 1, 2. Re banana ba banyenyane, re rutiwa ko sekolong. Okay, we'll just use this sentence. So what you can do, you can record re banana ba banyenyane, re rutiwa ko sekolong. And the child with Down syndrome can participate using this device, the Big Mac. And then he can start. And when we come with the second phrase, when we say, so the child with Down syndrome can start, and the other ones will finish the last phrase. Okay, so one thing for sure, the rule of the thumb is that this is the digital speech output device, meaning that you record the message. The message is not generated from the device, but the message must be recorded. So the rule of the thumb is that when you record any message on the device, for a learner, you must use the voice of a small child, and you must also consider the gender. I can't record it with my voice of an old person like myself. So I need to consider that it must be the voice of a child with Down syndrome, because he cannot produce speech effectively, but I'm going to assist the child to produce speech using this device. Colleagues, I'm sure I'm clear. Yes. So I'm going to record. So I'm just pretending that it will be Annalise. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to record, but the rule of the thumb, as I've indicated, colleagues, it must be recorded by a child of that age and the gender. Okay, let's see. No, this one, I'll try it later. Let me rather use this one. Colleagues, I'll have to check the battery. I'm going to try to use this one. It's one of the communication devices that can be used for learners with Down syndrome. But for this one, colleagues, I think because I don't have time, I'm supposed to explain how you put the symbols or maybe the messages in each and every cell. But I only have limited time. So I just want to see if I can record it on this device. Let's see. None of my devices are working today. Okay. No, but anyway, colleagues, what I will do, I'm going to put my table outside so that I can demonstrate all the devices that I have. So I have the devices that are light tech, for example. I have a communication board. So what you do to facilitate communication for learners with Down syndrome is that all the messages that the child must be able to communicate with you. So you use a software, get the message and get the symbols and put them on a communication board like this. It depends on the type of the message that you want for the child to use when communicating with you or communicating with other students, other learners in the classroom. So you think of those messages, you write them down, and then you go to the system or the software that you'll be having, which is the board maker program that is most common software that is at the schools, and then you put the messages here. So if the child wants to communicate with you because of their limited speech production, then the child can use the communication board like this. So if the child will say to you, hello, how are you? Then he'll just point to the communication and he'll be at the close proximity with you. Then this is the first one. So what you do, you put the messages, any vocabulary that the child will communicate on the communication board, which is the low-tech device. And if you want to move further so that the child can be able to hear her voice, so that the child must be able to produce speech using a device, is then that you can use these types of communication devices. So they ranges in terms of the needs and the capability of the child, and for this one, it's just only one message. The second one, the one that I show you, so you can record up to 20 messages, but 9 messages for each page. So if you wanted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this were done by the teachers. Message number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8. If a child wants to participate in any, for example, the maths activity, and you find that the speech production is limited, then the child can be provided with a device like this one. So instead of battling to produce number 8, then the child can just use this device and press 8, then the voice will come out. Depending, 5 minutes, okay, I'm done. So depending on the needs of the child is then that you can select the type of the communication device. So if you can look at that one is the GoTalk, and I know most of the schools, they do have it. So we have the GoTalks with 4 options. So, as I said, it depends on the needs of the child. We have the GoTalk 2 options where you can record 2 vocabulary. This one you can record 4 on 1 page. The one that I had, it is 9. We have 20, we have 32, and then we have other devices as well. So I'm going to sit outside, those that wants to learn about the devices, and then we can demonstrate. I'm a bit concerned because I don't know what happened with the batteries of those tools, but they were working quite well in the morning. So it's either you select to use the low-tech device, I have them, there are many of them, I'll be demonstrating them outside, or you can use the light-tech device where the waves can be recorded on the device. Pardon? I bought this ones many years ago when I joined UNISA at Inclusive Solutions. Yes, inclusive solutions. But there are many companies that sell them. I'll see when you visit my table, I'll explain where you buy them, and as well as the processes that are involved before you buy a communication device. It's not advisable just to come with box full of the devices and give each and every child. So each will be determined by the assessment outcomes of the child. Colleagues, I think my time is up. But I must indicate that it's just a summary. So if it was a workshop, it will be more detailed. So it's just a summary that learners with Down syndrome can communicate. Learners with Down syndrome can participate in any activity, provided they are given support they require. So in this instance, support will be the use of augmentative and alternative communication. Thank you very much, colleagues. Or behind the song. So it's just a rhyme, nursery rhyme, that says we are small children and we are learning at school. So that is the meaning of the purpose of the schools. The learners must understand that the school is where we learn. Thank you. Yes.